Alright, it is Sunday afternoon. The weather is pleasant, which is, I guess something that's hard to say, or it's hardly said when you live where I live. But yeah, it's a nice day to record a podcast, really. But this time I want to make it a bit more personal, I guess. Letting go, or learning to let go. I don't know what you need to learn to let go of, but personally for me, it's my anger or frustration with, I guess, certain things that happened last year, or people really, just in general. Yeah, man, it's hard to admit, but last year I was really, really angry. I was really, really going through my frustration and shit. And what's actually funny is it's also the year that I, got a lot of blessings and a lot of things went well, But it's funny to me that when I sit down, and I haven't sat down in a while, and I get to sit down and I'm talking with the people around me or whatever, that subconsciously the thing that kept coming out was just how frustrated I felt last year. How just generally for me, when I was younger I had a lot of problem with being a lot angry, which is actually really surprising because you meet people around me and more than not, or when you meet the people around me, people are just gonna tell you I'm generally just calm, even under tense situations. So for me, last year was a weird feeling to have that anger, I guess, that frustration build up. Yeah, man. I learned a lot though, because like I was saying, it was also the year where I was filled with a lot of blessings and lessons, and seeing the people around me succeed and seeing myself just inch a little closer to, I guess, something a bit more ideal. Because let's be real, I have a very high standard for myself, a very high standard. So even where I'm at in life, really, I'm just far from being content. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful, I'm blessed. At least I think so. But also I have a lot of things that I gotta do, a lot of things. So yeah, with that being said, learning to let go, right? Yeah, like I was saying, last year, man, I had some people turn on me, you know what I'm saying? It's just funny, it's crazy that it's always the ones that you do the most for that turn around and do the nastiest, crazy shit, So it was, I guess, a learning experience, man. I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but I learned myself basically in that period where I was really pissed off, right? Where, if I'm being real, I could have hurt somebody, really. You know what I'm saying? Which is not something, to be proud of or whatever. But yeah, man. It's funny. Last year I was talking a lot about principle, right? I was talking about, hey, man, men should get together and, discuss things and, try to help each other out, as much as they could, because like I'm saying, your lived experience as a man is just that, your lived experience as a guy. So, you talk to your peers or you talk to your mentors or whatever it is, and, you try to pick their brain about certain problems and issues and all that. But yeah, man, last year was really on a warpath. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. When that stuff that happened to me happened, boy, Man, I had a lot of anger. Let's just say I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't like sad or nothing like that. I was just like mad, bro. I was just like, boy, man. This one I kind of had to sit down and like talk to myself and talk to the people that I could confide in and just like express that emotion. And some people like would tell me how dangerous that was, and how I should chill. And I see a lot of guys like right now that I don't know if they didn't have nobody or maybe their emotions got the best of them, but I see a lot of dudes out here making like scary moves. They get upset, they start like getting violent, hurting people, hurting themselves, landing up in jail or whatever. And I just, I'm thankful that it never turned out that way. I didn't like throw away some of the things that I'd worked for over, bad business, basically. Let me put it like that. That's more accurate, over bad business. Because I'll be real with you, man. Money comes and goes, but people don't. And when I say people don't, I'm not saying people don't come in and out of your life, but life in itself is a one-way ticket. You get born, then it's a race to funeral. What you do in between then, it's like solely up to you, and it's between you and God. So yeah, so last year I had to learn a lot about trying to let go of my anger, trying to let go of like the past, so to speak, although it was happening then and there, right? Every month I was pissed. Every month I was pissed. There was a fire I had to extinguish, you know what I'm saying? Like, and mostly a fire within myself. I ain't really like talk to a lot of people. I think I talked to like 2 people about it, really. They can see my frustration, they can see my anger. And if I'm being real with you, I didn't even think I gave myself the time to like sit down and like kind of try to process what the hell was going on in my head. Because if I'm being real with you, I'm really like busy a lot. If I'm not doing something for myself, trying to hustle, whatever, I'm at work and I'm putting my all into that as well. So I don't know if I used work, and I mean both personal and like in a professional capacity, as a way to like distract myself or whatever. But I definitely didn't sit down with myself, quote unquote, to like sort of process, digest, or go through the motions of it. But I remember having a conversation with somebody, and they told me that growth is not about heaping on a lot of things into your life. It's about removing the distractions. It's about removing the things that are not important and making way for things that will, serve you or are really, really important. Yeah, so, by the time December came, I was going through my graduation. I sat down, really, by myself, and I made a mental note of all the things I felt like I needed to change or let go of or learn to, do whatever this year, and I set about trying to achieve those things slowly. But really the people I was talking to, they told me, my guy, you need to forgive, which was something I never thought I had to. I never really had a problem with forgiving people. Or maybe it was that because we're older, the stakes were a lot higher. So like the thought of forgiving somebody for something foul was just, to me, like, that's not happening. Like if I had kids, right? If I was a married man, that bad business could have put me and my family in a bad position. So I was going through all these thoughts in my head, and I'm like, yo, this could have ruined me, like proper ruined me financially. So, it was hard to let go. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was hard to just like say, you know what, it's in the past. because every day I woke up, I was like, bruh, oof, like, man, I don't know if I was prepared to go to jail though, because hate it or love it, me going to jail is a bad idea. I got a lot of people that I got hold on. I got a lot of people that depend on me to, handle certain things. And yeah, I think that extra set of responsibilities is gonna allow me to sit down and just say, you know what? Yeah, let me chill, right? The worst thing you can do as a man is to act out of emotion, out of frustration. So yeah, I just let it slide and let it go, And then also, yeah, I'm glad that it didn't affect my work really, because it was difficult to concentrate last year, like really, really, really difficult, I was so mad and pissed off. It was like difficult to have conversations and smile and all that stuff, But I went through it. I went through the motions, and for me, it was an interesting exercise because I learned a lot of restraint last year, even when, in situations where you're dealing with childish people or somebody's in their emotions or whatever, and they just come at you and you're like, bro, I got serious problems, all right? I got grown man issues, and you coming to me with this thing, right? That you knew you should have done better. You knew you could have handled. You coming to me with this, and now it's got to be my problem, And that's the thing, right? For me, it's like, I don't really explode a lot, but like when somebody keeps pushing those things, like they just keep disrespecting, they come and they keep, and you can see this, for me, it's like, nah. You know what? I got better things to do, right? And I really had to work on that myself when I was younger, because when I was a kid, I used to get into a lot of fights, man. I remember my mom used to get called 2-3 times, every year or so, For the most part, I was a smart kid. I was quiet, but I had a problem with that, you know what I'm saying? I had a problem with it, with that. As I grew older, I became a lot more calm, You couldn't catch me doing a lot of things. Right? You couldn't just see me getting angry at that and blah, blah, blah. And I worked on it. I was proud of myself for that. But when that bad business happened last year, oh my God, all those almost a decade of work just kind of came back. I stepped 10 years back, not even 10 steps, a decade back. My anger was through the roof. But yeah, thank God, I'm saying, I never acted on it physically. I never got hooked on anything, or got into some physical altercations or whatever. I'm not a huge dude, by the way, so it's not like, I got them hands. Okay, let's not get into it. But yeah. So what I did really for me, because honestly, if I'm going to talk about it, I might as well get some practical advice, at least from my perspective, right? What I did for me is I learned to really, 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 really disengage, right? So usually what happens is when somebody's going through, their emotions, for me, I generally just ignore them. Just slowly zone out as they keep getting more and more angry. My head, that was just me. That was automatic. That's what I learned when I was younger. But because, at the back of my mind, I knew that, I'm a different person now. I knew that disengaging wasn't going to work. So what I chose to do is I be like, yo, listen, I'm getting really pissed off right now. And, for both of our sakes, I'm just going to walk away. Or I'm just going to disengage. I'm going to put on my headphones, whatever I got to do. You can talk to yourself. It's fine by me. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of crazy people who would like to talk to themselves. There's a whole asylum so you can go and join or whatever. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut, and it's whatever. If we can talk about it after this, is cool. If not, let it be. I don't need this relationship, especially if it's coming to what it is right now. Because don't get me wrong, people fight all the time, but it takes a lot out of me to get mad, to get angry. It takes a lot, like really, like an insane amount, really. So ask the people around me, but it takes a lot for me to get angry. So I knew that last year that I would need some extra bit of incentive. So, I was just like, trying to get mad, cool. Do your thing, love. Or my guy, or whoever. Just do your thing, but I'm just gonna disengage. I'm gonna walk away. For both of our sakes, I'm gonna just walk away. And it worked, for the most part, but when it came to giving myself time, what I decided to do was the weekends for this year, I reserved for like weekly reviews, basically, right? I'd sit down for an hour or two, just make note of what happened every single day, or for most of the days, just make a mental note and be like, okay, do I feel like I'm regressing, ability-wise, mentally, all that stuff, I'd make a note of it all, just kind of go through it and read it again, and, try to see what I can do. Small little step, even if it's changing one thing the following week, I'm gonna do that, right? And I started doing that. It's been 3 months, so, it helps, really, at least for me, right? It's a thing, it's an exercise I'm forced to do. I'm forced to, sit down and evaluate myself, basically, right? To, try to be, I guess, the most pragmatic about the things that I'm seeing, because emotions aren't good for men like that, especially those kind of heightened emotions, those anger, frustration type things, so for me that was a good exercise, and honestly, I'm back to my base level. Really, it takes a lot still this year to get a lot out of me, but it also allowed me to look back at the bad business deals and say, hey, listen, it was a lesson, a good lesson, that you could be with somebody for X amount of time, or you can have this rapport, you can have this brotherhood, platonic relationship or business relationship with somebody, and you never really know what anybody's thinking. Don't get me wrong, we all move like that, right? But it becomes especially hard when there's a personal relationship there, where you give somebody the benefit of the doubt because you know them. So yeah, that sort of thing. But like I'm saying, I think as men, being slow to anger is an important virtue. You gotta be a little more restrained or something like that. So yeah, today's video is not really structured. There's no formula. There's no 3-step. It's just me, quote unquote, just vocalizing some of the things that I low key was dealing with, I guess. But at the same time, looking at myself and saying, hey man, I gotta do better though. There's a lot I still gotta do. There's a lot in life I have to achieve, and I thank God every single day that I get to wake up, do the things that I like. But also, I'm very, very busy. So, the other thing I had to promise myself is I had to make time to actually rest mentally. Because either way, I know that I'm always going to have a busy day, whether it's a Sunday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, Monday, whatever day of the week it is. I'm always busy, because if I'm not working, I got to work on my personal things. I got to, there's a lot of things I want to do, basically, to keep it short. But yeah, man, I don't know. Y'all tell me, how do y'all deal with frustration? Because for me, I know that I'm naturally kind of inclined to default to anger. That's just me. I don't feel a lot of sadness. I don't feel a lot of, all these really very heavy, low energy type things. But anger for me was one thing I had to deal with when I was also growing up. And, I'm glad that I could see it and I got better at it. But yeah, That's it. So yeah, man. I think what's really, really important about learning to let go is that it takes a lot of energy out of you, right? Imagine that I had a busy work schedule. I had a busy personal life. But I also had this thing weighing on me at the back of my mind. You know what I'm saying? When I'm working, I'm thinking about it. When I'm chilling, I'm with my people and I'm supposed to be engaged with them, I'm thinking about it, you know? It takes a lot out of you, man. Like, it does. For some people, you know, they're more naturally inclined to like be depressed about certain things. You'd be like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get them bands back. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do this or do that, man. This thing fucked up everything. Yo, I got a wife, I got kids. What am I supposed to do now? You know? But I'm lucky that, you know, it happened when I was younger. When I was, you know, a little less inclined to worry about those sort of things, you know? Because right now, like, I draw a lot of, I guess, small little pockets of, like, joy from, like, you know, when my queen's calls me up and she needs something, you know, I could help her with that. And she needs a little something, I can help her with that. That for me, it's like one of my proudest moments. Yeah, and that, you know, if my friend needs to borrow something and he's like, yo, I'm trying to buy something, blah, blah, I can, you know, give him that because I know the kind of person my guy is and he's, you know, he's real, you know, he's a real partner like that, you know. Not partner, but like partner, you get me? This is my pot. That's my guy. But yeah. So yeah, man, it takes a lot out of you to be like really mad and really frustrated. So, you know, learning to let go allows, like I was saying with the growth quote, it allows me to remove that distraction from my life and make room for the important things, you know. Which relationships am I trying to build on? Which connections am I trying to make with that, you know? Coming into something with a lot of baggage, really, to say, hey, man, I'm trying to get into this new business, blah, 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 blah thing, but I can't trust nobody because, no, it's cool, man. As long as you understand that, you know, people are always going to be self-centered. People are always going to be self-serving, you know. Only thing you can do is try to be a little more pragmatic about it, you know. Put those safety nets in place, whether it's in the contract, whether it's, you know, a couple people that can make niggas. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but you get what I'm saying, right? It's important, especially as a guy, for you to actually process the things that you are feeling, right? I'm not talking about the pity shit. I hate pity. I don't want nobody to pity me. That's the one thing I don't want nobody to do, right? I hate that. I don't want nobody to feel sorry. That's not what I want. I want answers, right? If something is wrong, what's the answer? Give me a solution. That's how I've always been, right? So, you know, but sometimes it's a double-edged sword because sometimes I really got to sit down and say, hey, man, listen, you got to deal with your anger or whatever it is before you do something stupid, you know? You got to deal with that before you do something stupid. You got to deal with that, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, it's weird. It's almost like I sat down at a little therapeutic thing with myself. And, you know, I actually started picking up a lot of books, you know, around psychology and psychopathy, you know, that actually really helped me as well. But as a guy, like I'm saying, learn to process those things, man. Emotional intelligence is a thing, right? And it's not just for women. Just because we don't be out here crying every damn day doesn't mean you can't sit there and have like an exercise like me every other week where I just jot down and write these things down for myself and say, you know what, I need to grow there, I need to grow there, even if it's not an emotional thing. What are my pockets gonna look like? You know, how are my pockets looking this week? Did I spend a little more than I should have? Did I work on my personal shit? And I'll say this, right? Your career is not you. It's really not, how can I say this? Your career does not define you as a human being. What's interesting is I read this book that talked about how if people don't create or don't do something fulfilling, quote unquote, that they are prone to depression, right? Like if you're not doing something that, you know, is productive, I guess, in in whatever way that God gifted you, or whatever inclination, whether it's a logical thing or a creative thing. If you're not actively doing that, it will mess with your mental health. So that's the other thing I had to sit down and do and say, these are the things that I've been neglecting, that I feel like are really important to myself, Because let's be real, as a man, you constantly have to have some form of ambition, or, you have to always strive to do something productive. At least for me, that's how I feel and how I see it. So yeah, I've also been sitting down this year, making time, really forcing myself to sit down and make time for those things that are also important to me. Before I wake up 30 years from now, I'm like, yeah, man, when I was in my teens, I used to be like a musician, and I let that dream die. Now I'm 60 years old, which is interesting, right? Which is interesting because I'm not just saying this out of nowhere. I'm not just plucking this out of thin air. I remember about 6-7 years ago, or 5, somewhere there, right? This old man, there was this group I was in on Facebook. It was really more a group my brother was in on Facebook, and it was a group of musicians from all over the world, right? To sit there and discuss new things. And this old man had this post, man. It really it struck a chord. It almost kind of broke my heart, really. My ex would say, "What heart?" But anyway, this old man was talking about how he was a guitarist, right? When he was younger. He used to play a lot, he used to sing a lot, he had a little band, and then he got to work. And then, that stuff took a back seat for almost 4 decades, and then he retired. And he was just sitting there. He's like, his kids are there. His wife, I think, divorced him or something like that, but I know he was alone. Or maybe she passed away, But, he was talking about how he has this time now, and all he could think about are the dreams, or that dream that he let go of, the dream that he never, really nurtured. And he's more depressed now, and he's living with a lot of regret. So he put that on a group to say, hey, young men, if you guys have ambitions and dreams or whatever, just go for it. If it fails, at least you know it failed, but go for it. Don't live a life of regret. And the old man was crying, man. It was a really long post. It was detailed, I'm just paraphrasing, but that story always stuck with me. And another story, I guess, that also kind of plays in the back of my mind is Jim Carrey's father. Well, the story keeps telling about how his father was a trumpist, and he was in a band, and they were going to go to the States, but he quit all that to become an accountant, only for him to lose his job and get fired. And he was so, bitter, and, those kind of things. So I also made a promise to myself this year that I'll work on things that, I guess, I'm not going to say nourish my soul, but the things that I really care about. My own ambition, my own things that really do also need priority. Like I'm saying, I can't just work and go to sleep. They just, I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem like a life to me. So yeah, guys, whatever you're going through, man, if you need an extra helping hand, don't be like me. See, me, I've always try to deal with things by myself, and sometimes it doesn't work. Most of the times, really, it gives you an extra baggage or an extra set of things for you to worry about. But if you got people, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, the people I had in my life last year helped me out a lot. The advice, the talking, the sitting down, the hey, I know it's hard, but keep pushing, or maybe you should try to let go. I know I'm asking a lot from you, but you should really try to let go, because I can see this thing, it's not helping you, sort of thing. So if you need help, get help, man, but gotta let go. Honestly, if you need a sign right now, let go, my guy. Let go of that anger, let go of that frustration. If you hurt, let go of that. Make room for the important things in your life. That's how you're gonna grow. Man, talk to you next time, all right?